does this loom to be such an explosive political year? Because this is the year of politics. This is the year when all of the white politicians are going to come into the Negro community. You never see them until election time. You can't find them until election time. They're going to come in with false promises. And as they make these false promises, they're going to feed our frustrations. And this will only serve to make matters worse. I'm no politician. I'm not even a student of politics. I'm not a Republican, nor a Democrat, nor an American, and got sense enough to know it. I'm one of the 22 million black victims of the Democrats. One of the 22 million black victims of the Republicans, and one of the 22 million black victims of Americanism.
If you look at old photos of Biden, his earlobe hangs down.
Ooh.
As he gets older, his earlobe is connected, which is impossible.
That's odd.
It's impossible. Like your ear doesn't change its position unless you get surgery.
I wouldn't suggest that they vote for any party or either party. I would suggest that the so-called Negroes become politically mature, realize the power that they hold in the field of politics, and then once the person who is running is aware that this man is awakened to the power that he holds, then that person who is running will approach that Negro on a more intelligent plane. As it is right now, most of the Negro leaders sell out to the white politicians for crumbs. And an awakening, a political awakening among Negroes will make it impossible for the present Negro leaders to sell our people out as they've been doing in the past.
So you do think Negroes should vote?
Negroes should do whatever is necessary to bring about a complete solution to their problem. If it, when I say whatever...
This extraordinary creature is half blind, half deaf, and this is just about as fast as it can move. That's what's going to happen to you if you live on nothing but leaves.
They don't want you to know about this. We live in a system run by the elites to make you weak and docile. They control the mainstream media, government, banks, celebrities, education, and even military to manipulate the masses and tighten their grip on the very fabric of our reality. But that ain't the end. These elites are puppets of Satan who want to bring the new world order. All of this to make you their slaves. But the real question is, how can we stop being a slave and unplug ourselves from the system completely? It's not something easily available on the internet, as the information is exclusive and the government doesn't want you to know about it.
You'll own nothing and be happy. That is the evil elite's plan for the whole population. They have already initiated the New World Order. Soon, we all are going to be totally enslaved within their agenda, with no way out from the fake viruses, wars, and chemicals in the air, and food. And this is just the beginning. This is the future they have planned for us, if you've been paying attention. Have you? But what can you do about it? How can you unplug yourself from the system and resist this mass enslavement?
If you control the money, you control what they can buy and not buy. You effectively, in the world that we live in, control their life. By what? Controlling their choices. Up to recent times, you've had the ability to pay with a credit card, transfer money from one account to another, or the backup of backups, which has been cash. You can keep cash, you can use cash, and the government knows nothing about it because it's people swapping pieces of paper. Now that's not controllable in the way that they want to control it. So what do they want? They want a cashless society, and they want a one world electronic currency. More than that, what they want is a digital currency. The European Union is now talking about their digital currency in other countries around the world because it's coordinated by this global code. The digital currency is not only completely and utterly trackable, so every purchase you make, the government authorities will know about, but it's also programmable. It can be programmed not to buy what the authorities don't want you to buy.
More than 90% of the media is controlled by the ruling party. Businesses are physically and legally harassed if they don't toe the party line. Elections are manipulated. Party leaders are mysteriously rich. That sounds familiar. I live in that country. I live in a country where over 90% of the media are aligned with the ruling party. I know that if you were dumb enough to put up a sign in the window of your store in an American city disagreeing with the prevailing party orthodoxy, you get your window smashed. If you disobey the political orders from the ruling party, they'll shut you down.
Like the Jewish media, I mean, the media is kind of controlled by a lot of Jewish people out here. We can actually see here who controls your mind. This was a chart back in 2013. All of these red is Jewish people, right? So they own like Universal Studios, ABC News, CBS, CNN, Columbia Pictures, DreamWorks, Facebook, Google, also run by Jewish people, Yahoo, Marvel, Pixar, The New York Post, LucasArts, MSNBC, DreamWorks, Comcast, The New York Times, Comedy Central, Wall Street Journal. I mean, admittedly, a lot of these large media organizations and tech companies that are able to shape global narratives are run by Jewish people. So does Kanye West have a point here? And to me, it's kind of like saying there's a lot of white male power in executive management positions in corporate companies, and nobody gets mad about that. But when Kanye West says there's a lot of people of Jewish religion in these media companies and tech companies, then everybody gets upset all of a sudden.
Some people want to depopulate and control us on record, and then they smile on television. They, meaning some of these unelected people you see at the World Economic Forum. Just last week, they're already preparing us for a water crisis. Why? Because they're planning it. They're planning the new crisis just like they planned them all. We just want peace and love and health and prosperity. We don't care about power. But here's the real problem. They always have to create some virtuous, deceptive trick to do it. Why don't you just say it to my face? Say to my face what you really want to do, and then step in the octagon and fight me for what you want. I'd have a lot more respect for you. But because you're a scared, narcissistic puppet, you always gotta hide behind some false virtue to do your evil bidding. Oh, it's equality and inclusion and climate. You're a liar!
The Crown is not the British royal family. The real Crown is the private corporate city of London, and it has 12 council members who serve as representatives for the 13 of the world's wealthiest banking families. The families include the Rothschild family, the Warburg family, the Oppenheimer family, and the Schiff family. The British Parliament and the British Prime Minister serve as a public front to these 13 ruling families. The city-state of London is the wealthiest square mile on the face of the earth. It houses the Bank of England, the London Stock Exchange, all British banks, branch offices of 385 foreign banks, and 70 US banks. It has its own courts, its own laws, its own flag, its own police force, and pays no taxes.
Modern companies' ties to slavery, part 1. You may have heard people say we can't have reparations because no one today was ever enslaved and no one today ever enslaved anyone. But all these companies right here profited from slavery and human trafficking. Bank of America's predecessors, Boatman Savings and Southern Bank of St. Louis, all had ties to enslavement. As did another one of their predecessors, Bank of Metropolis, who used enslaved people as collateral. J.P. Morgan Chase admitted that between 1831 and 1865, their company accepted about 13,000 enslaved people as collateral. When plantation owners defaulted on their loans, their company wound up enslaving about 1,300 individuals. New York Life Insurance Company has always been in the insurance business. Of the company's first 1,000 insurance policies that they sold, 339 of them were on enslaved individuals. Founded in 1818, Brown Brothers is one of the oldest, if not the oldest and largest investment firm in the United States. They made most of their money, if not all of it, from investing in the slave trade, slavery, and the textile industry, which provided for enslavement. Wells Fargo purchased Wachovia. Wachovia's predecessors were heavily involved in the slave trade. Not only did they invest and use enslaved people as collateral, they also owned enslaved people. I mean, the bank itself owned people. Like most banks in the 18th and 19th century, the Rothschild Bank accepted enslaved people as collateral. While the Rothschilds may have been involved in anti-slavery societies, they also helped organize compensated emancipation in the United Kingdom, which meant enslavers were paid so that they would free their enslaved people. Barclays of London were not only involved in the slave trade, but also received enslaved people as compensation. All these companies have admitted they were involved in human trafficking and slavery. Most of them have issued an apology. And then they didn't do anything else. We don't want your hollow words. Just give us the money.
Have you ever heard that there's actually more than just one pope? Well, supposedly, there are 3. So first we have the White Pope, which is the one that we all know as Pope Francis. And then we have the Black Pope, Arturo Sosa, who is the Superior General of the Society of Jesus. And then we have the Gray Pope, Pepe Orsini, who is the Duke of Gravina, but his actual name is Domenico Napoleon Orsini. Well, supposedly the Black Pope, Arturo Sosa, has more power than the White Pope, Pope Francis, and the Gray Pope, Pepe Orsini, has more power than both of them and controls things from behind the scenes. It's believed that the Orsini family is one of the most powerful families in the world, and their bloodline goes back to very old nobility. Also, members of the Orsini family include 5 popes. First, we have Pope Stephen II, who was from 752 to 757. Then you have Pope Paul I from 757 to 767. Pope Celestine III from 1191 to 1198, Pope Nicholas III from 1277 to 1280, and the last one was Pope Benedict XIII from 1724 to 1730. And on top of all of that, the family included 34 cardinals, so these were very, very influential people. But there's so much more information about the Orsini family that I want to talk about in other videos, and other families who are tied to them through the papal bloodlines who supposedly control the world. But let me know what you think. Is there actually a gray pope who's really the one calling the shots behind the scenes, or is this just some wild conspiracy?
So the white man is Satan himself.
Say it, man. I mean, white man is the scapegoat, and Pandora's box is about to be open.
Dirty more is exposed. We stop using our mind control. White people are the true secret society, and there's this hidden hand that runs the world. This just occurred to me. And it made so much sense. And I want y'all to hear this. What if black people still run the world? We are so under mind control by white people. Something like that would never even occur to us. You never really hear a comprehensive story about how white people all of a sudden took over the world. They were made to seem like they took over the world. Then it occurred to me as I'm thinking.
And there is a black elite that's been ruling. They never stop ruling.
What if I told you the whole concept of white versus black was created solely for the purpose of separation? And that the real individuals behind the president, behind Congress, the hidden hand, is also melanated 9-ether people also? What if I told you that? The individuals you see in the illustration behind me are referred to as the Black Nobility. These are the original 13 families, okay? These are melanated, carbonated individuals. Everything we've ever been told, okay, in reference to who we believe the enemy is, so to speak, has been solely for the purpose of distraction, okay? Now, again, there are male-relevant Caucasian individuals that did wholeheartedly embrace that role, okay, that they were set to play. But this actually derived from our own melanated people selling us out. Look at some of the old relics from Europe, you'll see that these individuals were black people, okay, that they commemorated, that they highly revered. You can find a lot of the real ancient relics in the Vatican. They had statues and all kind of things to commemorate the black nobility. 13 families all have the blood of the black draconian. The individual you see to my left and the illustration behind me is referred to as Tarnush or Halal, okay? This was a black draconian. This is who Ra Hayes making reference to when he say they look like us, but they not us. These are reptilians, okay? And oftentimes they have the pointed ears and a widow's peak as a genetic trait. The elder god Dr. Malachi Z. York, he spoke on these entities in the holy tablets, okay? This is a depiction, okay, of how these individuals look. They're reptilian, they are shapeshifters, and they are black. They are normal melanated. This is a depiction of how some of them may look. They look like us, but they not us. Here's another example, okay? Black reptilian, black draconian. They figured if they could create an enemy for us, then we wouldn't think about them, okay? That's why one of their names, code names, basically is the hidden hand. They're the biggest secret that most people don't talk about. Tarnush is the son of Marduk, okay? Tarnush wanted some form of cosmic dominion, and when his grandfather Anu didn't grant that his request, he just completely went disagreeable. And there were others that carried that same ideology. They basically wanted dominion and wanted to have some sort of power, and they wanted to cause chaos and wreak havoc because of that. As I told you in the past, these archonic entities thrive on your low frequency emotions like grief, guilt, anxiety, and things of that nature, fear, okay? So they can't really operate in the 528 hertz frequency, which is love. So it's important that you embrace this green Ethereum cosmic energy that's re-emerging, okay? That's the essence of the heart chakra energy that's going to come back. And once we fully embody that and we eliminate all racism, all hatred, and we just fully walk in the heart chakra, okay, and follow the laws of Maya, which your heart being light as a feather, which you're forgetting about anything that you've been taught through the indoctrination process in regards to the assimilation, then you will fully ascend and tap into your crown chakra and fully reap the benefits of a Kundalini awakening. You can't do it with hatred, okay? So contrary to what you want to believe, you want to have an enemy and things of that nature. It's understandable, but your biggest enemy is yourself, and your biggest enemy is the indoctrination and a false technology that you've been told. Okay, this also came from Yaqub. Okay, remember, he was the author of technology, and a lot of this illustration that we still following stems from that. If you follow in the concept of hatred or anything along the lines of that, then you are actually going off the teachings and the ideologies of technology, which were orchestrated by Yaqub, the scientist. All right, this is some of the doctrines that he came up with on the island of Patmos. Okay, Yaqub actually was the one that orchestrated and came up with the enemy for us to have some form of adversities with. Okay, that we can actually see to camouflage the 13 families, the black nobility that actually been puppet mastering this whole thing, controlling this whole matrix, operating this whole simulation behind the veil.
The Queen, her gold carriage alone is made of 4 tons of solid gold, worth over $370 billion at today's gold prices. The Bank of England Nominees Limited was established to hide the Queen's investments. Secrecy about her wealth protects her. Government and banking officials inform the Queen about where to invest her wealth. That's called insider trading, and it's illegal. But the Queen gets away with it scot-free. Why? Because she's the Queen, and she's immune to prosecution. The Queen owns more than 300 residences, including castles and palaces, crown jewels, over 27,000 masterpieces, prize racehorses, and a fleet of Bentleys and Rolls-Royces. Her colossal wealth also includes crown land and investments that she inherited from her black nobility ancestors.
What's up, everybody? This is Rebel, and I want to talk to you about black nobility, because black nobility is melanated people that is from Africa, a society within an elite society. And what this is these are the richest people in the world, and they run the world. And they are melanated people from Africa. They're called Blackamoors, and they're in Europe, and they're still running Europe. This is why when you go to Europe, you see a lot of melanated statues, because this is who is really in charge. But we're taught that white people is in charge, but that is not true. White people is the front man, but they're not in charge of anything. This is why when you see Queen Elizabeth and the Pope, which is quote unquote 2 important people, they always kissing the feet of Africans, and we never understood that. Let me show you something. You remember this photo right here. And remember that this woman, she had on a brooch. This was when Prince Harry was about to get married. And remember that infamous brooch she had on. And people were saying, oh, she was trying to be racist. No, she had to cover it up, and she had to go along with her. She had to apologize because she didn't want you to know the truth, that she was paying homage to the Blackamoors, which is the black nobility. She was paying homage to them. See, they are in control of everything, and still is in control, and they shun publicity because they don't want you to know what's really going on. It's melanated people like yourself that's in control of everything, but we are told not to never look at it in that sense. These people right here is the people that met us, that came to America, and they met us. These people right here. Those people right there. Those are the people that met us. Those are the people that got off the Mayflower. This is why it's a lot of stories of melanated people that had all kind of slaves. It was the Blackamoors that came over here. They set up shop, and they're infiltrated in our families. They try to hide who they are because they don't want you to know. These are very wealthy people that have gotten wealthy off of the indigenous people, that have gotten wealthy off of these indigenous people have gotten wealthy off of us, because we don't know the truth of what's really going on. And they constantly have us looking at this white man, and no, the white man don't have the power. The Blackamoors have the power, and that's who's in power right now. But they hide themselves, and the reason why they hide themselves is because they have to make you think that they don't have any power. This is why you see these pictures right here. This is why you see him kissing their feet.
Presentation, because it relates to what we're learning today. So who are the Huguenots, right? Let's not forget who are the Huguenots. Again, we know history tells us they're French Protestants, right? Calvinists or whatever. But we know that reality, that most of these French Huguenots were actually Sephardic Jews and Moriscos, Moors. And these were melanated people, most of them. What you would consider a Negro, or a person of color, or a free person of color. All right, so who are these? A lot of these South Carolinian people, Now remember, that doesn't mean all these Huguenots came out of France. A lot of these we read in this video is a 5-hour video. We did this live that day. It was great. We learned a lot that day. Everybody enjoyed it. If you missed it, make sure to watch the whole presentation so you can understand who the Huguenots are, so I can show you they're not just French Protestants. What is a Protestant Protestant? What are they protesting? Protestant Protestant. All right, it's just people who are not Catholic, basically. All right, but these Huguenots have a specific origin, a lot of them, most of them, and it goes back to Spain and Portugal as Sephardic Jews and Moors. They got expelled from there. These same people made their way all the way to South Carolina. That's where there was the most populous.
Because that's who land that is. The Black Lamores. That's what they call Black Lamores. When you go to Europe, this is what you see. Those are the Black Lamores. Those are the Black nobilities. The aristocrats. That's who these are. See, this is where your Constitution comes from. These are the people who wrote the Constitution. See, the Constitution used to be called the Magna Carta. It was written in 1215. That's when it was written. AD. That's when it was written. When they lied to you and tell you James Madison sat down and wrote the Constitution like he was so intelligent, that's a lie. That's a lie. No, they got it from the Magna Carta. That's where they got it from. And it was written by a melanated man. When they tell you the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, which was raping indigenous women, and Benjamin Franklin, they sat down and wrote it. No, they didn't. The Bill of Rights, all that came from Europe. The Constitution, where you get taxed and all of that stuff, all of that came from the Magna Carta, written in 1212. Look it up. Magda Carter. Look it up, and you'll see for yourself. They like these people was brilliant. They came here to kill and destroy and set up shop. Kill your people and then build over their stuff. And the people who they put in front of us, most of them people be foreigners. With the exception of like Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson was a Cherokee Indian. Is a Cherokee Indian. And then, see, when it's people like Jesse Jackson and these other indigenous people, they only let them live a certain amount of time. But Sidney Poitier was a Jamaican, and he lived to be close to 100. See, what they do for them, they're not going to do for you, because you are superior. And because you don't want to walk in your calling, they walk over you. Because you don't want to walk in your calling. You want to play the victim. Instead of saying, no, this is our shit. And see, a lot of these people that you see out here talking, a lot of these people you see in the Pan-African movement and other movements that talk against us, saying that we are indigenous, a lot of them is foreigners. A lot of them, they're not, and I'm gonna tell you this too, they have infiltrated themselves in our families.
The black nobility, the royal houses of Europe that ruthlessly eliminate all that dare to stand in their way. The black nobility, the epitome of JFK's speech. On April 27, 1961, John F. Kennedy gave a speech to the American Newspaper Publishers Association in the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, New York, where he conveyed his heartfelt desire to wage a war against secret societies. 2.5 years later he was dead at the age of 46. The courage to break from his heritage and fight for truth cost one of America's greatest ever presidents. Research over the last several decades clearly show foul play over his assassination in relation to major decisions he was making as a president, which was opposite to the aims and ambitions of the global elite. Who are the secret societies that Kennedy was referring to? The mainstream media will tell you it was the Soviet Union. However, would the mainstream media ever admit to the fact that Kennedy was referring to something more dangerous and sinister than communism? Especially when the media overlords are controlled by a network of powerful families known as the black nobility. Who are the black nobility? The black nobility is the term used to describe a family lineage that predates even the Illuminati, the Jesuits and other secret orders that many conspiracy writers make reference to. They came to prominence in Venice around the 9th century and became known for their use of dirty tactics to accomplish what they wanted. Murder, fraud, rape, genocide, terrorism, anything possible to protect their wealth and keep the common man where they believed he ought to be. When the black nobility eventually transcended further through strategic alliances with the Illuminati and Freemasonry during the 1700s, it was the worst nightmare for the developing world. An unholy trinity that would use the Earth's population at their disposal to protect their interests. The black nobility were students of the Greek philosopher Aristotle, who believed that slavery was a necessary institution, because some are born to rule and others to be ruled. The idea that certain families were born to rule as an arbitrary elite, while the vast majority of any given population is condemned to oppression, serfdom, or slavery, became the theological position of this elite. The black nobility became so powerful that even the Roman Catholic Church, which ruled much of Europe, became fearful of them, with several botched attempts to conquer them. The irony of the matter is that when the papacy's iron rule came to an end in 1870, it was the black nobility who were there to act as the comrades of the Pope in helping to negotiate the terms of the Vatican's future existence under Benito Mussolini. The Illuminati, the public face of the black nobility. The Illuminati was the name of a secret society, founded by Adam Weishaupt, in Germany, in 1776.